do apologise, for some reason the slides have gone all over the place. So what's our mission as a brokerage? Okay, it really is, basically what we want to do is create a community of financially astute people. Okay, property professionals that understand funding, understand the different types of funding and how they can work with their brokers or themselves when they're looking at deals. Okay, because that's really, really important. It's really important to know where the money's coming from. So we've all been on courses, right? We've all sat in the room when somebody said, find the deal and the money will come to you. Yeah? Have anybody else heard that in the room? Yeah. We've all heard it.
Still waiting.
Yeah. So, yeah, we've all heard it, but what does it actually mean to you? And most people in the courses think, right, okay, all I need to do is go and find a deal and that money's going to be there, yeah? It's kind of what we're sold. So there we are, got the deal, and it's a freaking brilliant deal. So I'm sitting there, yeah? Imagine yourself, you're sitting there in your living room, you got this deal, you're like, right, done it. I went on that course, told me to get a deal, I've done it, I've got the fucking deal now. Where's my fucking money? Where is it? Because I went on that course and they said to me, find the deal and the money will come to you. I'm here. Open the door, open the windows, the money's coming. Let's go. You're sitting there for a couple of hours, nothing's happened. We check the fridge. Might be in there, because my keys are usually in there. I'll get to that age now where I tend to leave half the things that should be somewhere else. They usually find them in the fridge. My keys, my phone, everything. But somehow the money's never in there. Don't know why. Right? So that's what we kind of think. We think, sit there, money's going to come to us. But it doesn't. Okay, so we're all sitting there thinking that. So would you like me to tell you where that money is?
Yeah.
Yes. Good. Okay? Well, it's in bridging loans, bridge to let, auction finance, refurbishment loans, buy to let mortgages. These are all the different types of funding out there. Okay? Seen a few expressions like that now. I was thinking she was going to tell me it was in a certain box under my bedroom, or in one of the drawers, but it's not. There's other places as well. Okay, it's a crowdfunding, VAT bridge finance. People who are doing commercial deals, right? Your lenders won't give you the money if you need to pay VAT on there. All the courses always say you can fill in the form, the 164D form to disallow the VAT. Sometimes you can't, and if you can't, we've got a bridging company that will bridge the VAT for you. And what they do is they pay the VAT, but then they claim it back from Hmos as well, because that's what happens on a commercial project. You pay it and you claim it back. The fastest they've ever claimed it back is in 13 days. Okay, so you're only paying for that period of time. But it's good to know that that's there, because it stops you then turning a deal down that you think, oh, I can't do it because I can't get the VAT money.
Do they just charge you?
They charge you for the period of time that you've got that.
But they don't charge VAT on that VAT.
That might make it a little bit more technical, yeah. No, so what they do is they'll pay HMRC, they'll claim it back, obviously they charge you a fee. They'll charge you depending on how long that money is held at HMRC. I think the longest it's taken is 45 days. So it's not a long period of time, so it's a very, 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 very short-term bridge. But it's there. And if you know it's there and it's available to you guys, then you know those deals can be done as well, okay? So second charge loans, vendor finance. Now we've done that on quite a few deals. There's angel finance, JV investors, 100% lending. 100% lending gets bandied around a lot. People talk about it all the time, but most people don't actually understand what that means. And people sometimes think it's more than it actually is going to be, because 100% is never really 100%. Okay, and we'll cover some of that as well. So we get all these things are bandied around all the time. These are the different places that money is for your deals. You just need to know how to access those different things. And some of the projects that you do, it'll be maybe 3 or 4 of those aspects. Or it might be a bridge to begin with, and then there's a HMO valuation afterwards, because you've converted the property into HMO. But then it's important to know the difference between a HMO BMV valuation and a HMO commercial valuation. And we've had clients that have come to us who did a bridging loan, then they've converted the property into HMO, thinking that they would get a commercial valuation, then haven't, and now they can't pay their JV investor back. And we want to make sure you guys don't get into that position. And this is where the exit is just as important as the entry into that deal. And that's what we look at. We will never do a bridge unless we know exactly what that exit is well. And the reason we can do that is because we are commercial and residential brokers. So so we are regulated. Okay, and that's the important thing, because most commercial brokers, they're not regulated, so they don't do the regulated side. So if they're going to do your bridge, they're going to do your bridge. Most of them won't care about the exit because that's your problem, but it shouldn't be your problem, because that's really weird. You know, you're going to the broker thinking they're the professional, they're going to help you, but sometimes that isn't exactly what happened. Okay. So what we do is we go through the 6 steps to funding your projects. Now some of this stuff, obviously Michael touched on quickly, so I'm going to, normally we kind of go through this in quite a few hours. I'm going to try and sort of go through it as fast as I can, okay? So, again, those have all moved around. Because this is a Mac. No, it's not, is it? I don't know, anyway. Something's happened with the IT. But okay, so the first one is position, process, procure, and I'll go through all these different ones now. Okay, so first one's position. Again, Michael did touch on this. This is you and your credit status. So knowing, understanding what your credit profile is, your credit score. People harp on and worry too much about that credit score, that 889 or 995 or whatever. Yeah, not when it comes to commercial funding and mortgages. That's really more for credit card funding, finance and things like that. Because each of the lenders have their own way of credit scoring you. So don't worry about that. Because I've had that in the past, clients bring me up, I've just checked on Experian, I've gone down 3 points. Don't worry about it. Unless you're going for credit cards, don't worry about it, okay? So but what we do is we go through your credit report with you. So we look at exactly what's on there. And a lot of the times you actually find things that are on there that shouldn't be on there. And then we can get those taken off. Because utility companies usually are the worst. I've had it with some of my buy-to-let properties. Sometimes the tenants haven't paid the water bill or gas or electric, and all of a sudden the company's putting, you know, those under my name. So you go back into them, explain to them, and it all of a sudden gets taken off. But sometimes if you leave that too late, you don't know. So with some people like Experian and Equifax, you can do a monthly subscription with them, and you can check your credit report, and they actually send you an alert telling you that something's changed on your report. It's really worth having one of those subscriptions, because your credit profile is important to you for your funding for your deals. You need to keep on top of that. Okay. So we look at that. We look at the legal status as well. So there's a lot of people obviously now thinking about, do I want to buy in my sole name? Am I buying in a limited company? What's the difference between the two? And it's really, really important to understand that and figure that out right at the start. When you start doing your projects, or if you're doing any JVs, it's important to understand exactly how you're going to set it up. And whether you're going to have an LLP, who are the owners going to be, who are the shareholders going to be. So what we do is we do a 3-day masterclass, and we cover those things as well, because our accountant's in the room as well. And he goes through all those, the different aspects in each of those. We look at your personal profile, and that's where your CV comes in, okay? And your CV really is about the things that you've done, your projects that you've done, or the transferable skills that you've had in the job that you've done, okay? So for example, if you're a mortgage broker and you've helped clients build up a property portfolio, because you've looked at different Hmos for them, or buy-to-lets or flips, that's part of your CV. That's part of your experience as well. Okay, and we want to put all that in there, and that's what lenders want to see. And also who is part of your team, because that's important. If you are a first-time developer, that's fine, it's not a problem. You can still get funding, but it depends on who's in your team as well. Because then you're leveraging them and their experience, and we'll show you how to do that. Okay, and obviously your branding, because lenders do look you up. Lenders do actually look on social media, they'll look at LinkedIn, they'll look at Facebook. Okay, and it's important to make sure that you've got professional branding out there as well. Okay, not just about your website. People get worried too much straight away about a website there. Doesn't matter about that. Because before, years ago, people used to just do Google. They do a Google search, and now it's a LinkedIn search and a Facebook search. Okay. The process. It really is messed up. I do apologise. So within the process, we're looking at the paperwork. So that's basically sort of the list that Michael had. I've got his name now. Shows my age, my brain's going. So the list that Michael had earlier of all your bank statements, your SA302s, all that sort of stuff. So we will actually go through those bank statements with you when you first join us as a client, because we want to make sure there isn't anything on there that's going to adversely affect your lending, because lenders will look through those bank statements as well. It's not as important for commercial funding, but it is for residential funding. And if you're doing a bridge and then you're going to actually do a residential HMO mortgage afterwards, then that lender's really going to be looking at that. So if you've got things like Betfred and stuff like that on there, you don't want those, okay? Because they think, well, okay, this person's a bit of a gambler, so if the shit hits the fan on this project, and all of a sudden tenants are not paying, what's he going to do? He's going to be down at Betfred place or whatever, and he's going to gamble it all away. So little things like that make a difference. So we go through all that with you and explain. Okay. We also, the most important thing that we think is that we do as a brokerage is look at your 2-year and your 5-year funding strategy, because everybody looks at their business plans and their property business plan. Okay, so if you're doing any business, you're going to put a business plan together. If you're looking at projects or property, you're going to put a 2-year and a 5-year plan together. But you also need a 2-year and a 5-year funding strategy plan to sit alongside that. Because there's no point saying, okay, in the next 5 years I want to have so many properties, but how are you going to fund those? What are we going to do to get you to that point? And this is where we want to sit down with everybody and say, right, what's your 2-year, 5-year plan? Because we need to understand it to make sure that you are fundable in the future as well. And make sure we actually put you in the right position to be fundable. Okay? So again, the team CV, that's important. So if we are your brokerage, then you're leveraging our experience as well. At the top of our brokerage, there's myself, Carl and Ali. We are all property developers, and so we're experienced in that way as well. Go through the AIP, what that actually means. That's an application in principle. Whether you need to have any personal guarantees and what sort of charges are put on the property. Okay, because it's different things, different lenders do different things. So the procure part in that is basically when you're buying the deal, so the acquisition aspect. So when we're looking at that, we're looking at, are you buying it as a straightforward purchase, is it an option agreement, are we doing an exchange with delayed completion? Because there's different ways you're going to structure your funding and your project depending on what you're doing there. So we'll look at what we're going to do in completion. Are we going to have a bridging? Is there a JV partner involved? If there is, when do they want to be coming out of that deal? Because a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll have a JV investor for the initial purchase and say, okay, I'm going to buy this property, I'm going to then do the refurb, I'm going to refinance it, and I'm going to pay the investor off. Okay, so we need to know exactly when that's going to happen so we can make sure that the figures actually will add up and that you are going to actually be able to achieve that. Okay, and we look at whether, you know, are we going to institutional funding, or are we doing crowdfunding? Has anybody in the room looked at crowdfunding at all? Okay. Yes, there's lots of different types. I mean, people think that you can only crowdfund big developments. Not. We've done crowdfunding for some people who've just gone for a planning game application. So he's looked at one of my clients, Divac, looked at a project. It was a restaurant. He wanted to convert it into flats. Didn't want to put his own money into it. Did it as an earn and learn. Basically, he wanted to raise £20,000 for it. He did it. Didn't get the planning. So on something like that, the people are not going to get a return. If the planning doesn't happen, you've lost the money. But the minimum for an investor to come into that was £100. So for £100, they were part of the project and learned all the planning process right from start to finish. So it's a bit of a learning curve. So rather than sort of doing that on a project themselves, they learned it for a couple of £100. Okay? And being able to say, I was part of a crowdfunding platform for this project. So there's lots of different things like that. We've got some clients that they raised the money to actually set up a rent-to-rent business. Because again, there's people out there that want to learn about these things. So they'll invest in somebody else. So it's a lot easier for them to invest £200, £300, £400, thinking, okay, I'm going to get a small return for it, but at the same time, I'm actually working with these guys and learning what they're doing. So there's lots of different ways of doing that, and that's what we look at. Creative but legal funding. That's the difference. There's lots of creative ways out there, which we don't want you to look at. We want you to look at creative, legal methods. Okay? So we get to the project itself. Are you doing a refurb? Is it a conversion or is it a build project? Because there's different types of funding in that, and there's different ways we're actually going to structure what you're doing depending on what you're doing there. Okay? Then again, this is really infuriating. that's because of the, I sent it to you on WhatsApp. They've all gone all over the place.
Size
Might
of the
be.
screen.
Eh?
Might because
Oh, the size,
from
screen
Keynote
size.
to PowerPoint
Okay.
as well.
Ah, right, okay. I'm not an IT person. I might have to speak to you, Andrew, in future. Cool. Okay, so again, we need to know whether the project's a buy-to-let, HMO, are you doing flats, is it going to be a house or houses, are you going to look at it as SA? The projects that we do, we look at trying to have multiple exit routes. So if we're doing a block of flats, we want to say, okay, can we do them as SA? If we need to. If we can't sell them, or we don't want to sell them, can we do some of it as SA, or maybe 2 or 3 floors as SA, if it's 5 or 6 floors, and then the rest is normal rental, or is it not in an area where we can get SA? Okay, so we want multiple exit routes in what we do, and ideally that's kind of what you want to look at in your projects as well. So we go through all those things with you. The promotion side is basically you promoting yourself, your brand, your project, because that's really where you'll get more investors coming to help you and wanting to work with you as well. Okay, so social media posts, videos. I do tell all my clients that when you've completed on the project, put a social media post up. Let everybody else in your network know what you're doing, because there's people around you that watch what you're doing for quite a while, and then they'll come up to you and say, you know what you were doing there? I quite like that, and I'd like to know a bit more. And by the way, did you know I've got some money and I'd like to invest it with you? They'll come out the woodwork, trust me. I've had it. I've had people who come up to me that I never thought they had any money. Boy, am I surprised. Because they never used to buy a freaking drink before. Now they're fucking paid. Now I know how much money he's got in his bank account. He's freaking paid every time we go out. But yeah, they'll plead poverty and they'll do it for years. But once they see what you're doing, they want a part of that. Okay? And it's a lot easier when they're coming to you rather than you trying to go to them. So we do discovery days. You have a show flat, obviously, if you're doing a block of flats, because that's how you're going to sell your flats out on. But discovery days are brilliant. Okay, so if you've got some investors that may be looking at working with you, you can say, okay, I'm doing this project. Could be a flip. So okay, I'm just doing the rip out stage. Come and have a look. I'll walk you through the project. Yeah? It doesn't have to be people that already are investing with you, but anybody else. Okay, if you're interested in what I'm doing, come and see me. And walk through with me. And then when I get to the next stage, I'll invite you around again. So you can invite them around 2 or 3 times as you go through the different stages in your project. But you'll soon find that actually you'll start to get momentum on Facebook and on LinkedIn and everything if you're doing that. Okay. The agents pack and the valuation pack are really, really vital if you're doing any sales and obviously refinance. The agents pack basically is really for it's like a showcase of what you're doing, CGIs, things like that, so that somebody can look at it and think, okay, well that's what the end product's going to be. But it's also important then for your valuation pack, because if we're looking at a revaluation, the valuer needs to know what you've actually done with that project. And the more information we give them, the better the valuation you'll get at the end. Okay? You can lead valuers a little bit. You just need to give them quality information, because they need to see what the project was like first, and what you've done to it, and what you're looking to achieve. Okay. So the profit, that's the bit that we all want to get to. The fucking money. We found the money first to buy the project. Now we want the bloody end out of it, because we want the profit to put in our pockets to move on to the next project. Okay? So what do you do? Are you selling? Are you refinancing? Whatever you're doing out of those, we also need to look at your legacy planning as well. Okay? Because there's no point working our asses off to build a portfolio or a profitable business and then having the taxman take it. We need to make sure we're actually protecting what we're doing. Because the majority of us are doing this not only for ourselves, but obviously for our families as well. Okay? For our children, our partners, sometimes even parents, because we want to give them a better life as well. But what if something happens to you? We need to make sure that's protected. Okay? So when we do on the 3-day masterclass, we actually cover everything about wills, trusts, inheritance planning. We do all of that as well, because you need to understand that right from the start as well. Whether you're making 20 grand a year or 300,000 a year or 2 million a year, doesn't matter. There's different aspects in there. We need to make sure whatever you are making, you are protected in. Okay. So that's basically what we do. We do a 3-day masterclass. We look at who the key players are in your team and who they should be. Okay, because they're not necessarily always the ones that you think they should be. Okay, we look at how to fund a portfolio, because at the end of the day, most of us, that's what we're here for. Very rarely do I find somebody in a room like this says, no, I just want one property, I'm happy with that. Is anybody like that in the room today? Good. I didn't think there would be, because it is all about building a portfolio. Right. Bridging loans, a lot of people say that they don't want to do bridging loans because they're expensive. And I've come across a lot of people who've gone out to do flips or small HMO conversions, and rather than getting a bridge, which is the right way to do it, they've gone and bought the property on a single buy-to-let. Now, when you get done for mortgage fraud, that's far more expensive than taking that bridging loan. Far more expensive. And if the deal doesn't work on the basis of what the bridging loan is going to cost you, it's not a fucking deal. You need to walk away. Like Michael said earlier, if the numbers don't add up, walk away. Okay? Because there's other deals out there that will work. But you need to understand how bridging loans work, and it's really important. So they are a fantastic way to build portfolios. Okay? Exit route finance is always important. We want to establish what that's going to be right at the start. We don't want to be worrying about that in 6 months' time or 8 months' time when you're getting close to the end of that bridge. We want to know right at the start what we're going to do. And you need to know right at the start what we're doing. Okay? So all these other things as well. Commercial valuations on HMOs. Really, really important that you understand exactly what you need to do to that property to get that commercial valuation. Okay. Sticking an ensuite in one of the bedrooms isn't going to freaking do it. At the end of the day, it's still a 2-bedroom terraced. It's not a commercial valuation property, which a lot of people, there are courses out there, unfortunately, that do say, get a 2-bed, 3-bedroom property, convert it into a 5-bed HMO, it'll be worth shitload more than it actually is. It's not. If it can easily be converted back into a residential home, which a 2 or a 3-bedroom terrace pretty much is, you're never going to get a commercial valuation on it. But we go through exactly what you need to do to make sure that property is a commercial valuation for you. Okay? If you want to build an SA business, there are lenders out there now that will work with people who've only just started with SA business. As long as you've had the right education, you've got the right people in your team, and you've got a good management company in there as well helping you, because there's very good established management companies. You can work with them on your projects. We do that ourselves. We don't manage anything, we do ourselves. We get somebody else to manage it for us. Again, we look at crowdfunding. We actually have one of the crowdfunding platforms in the room as well to actually talk about how you fund your deals. Okay? We talk about how to structure your deal, because that's really important. Any lender that you go to is going to want to understand the structure. But you need to understand the structure as well. This is why we have a legal representative in the room as well to work through that. Again, 2-year, 5-year funding plan, absolutely vital. You've got to have that. So who am I? Thinking, who's she? What the hell is she doing standing there telling us all this stuff, right? That's me. I am a property investor and developer, although now I like to call myself an entrepreneur. I think that sounds better. We're an entrepreneur, you did you do? Okay. I am a founder member of Kandola. Now Kandola is, it's not a cult or anything, it's not an elitist club. We are basically property developers, and we've come together, and it's more like a higher level mastermind. And basically to get everybody in the room that wants to do deals and get the fucking deals done. That's all we do. So we're out there looking for projects. We've got investors in the room. We've got guys that are buying hotels. We've got all sorts of stuff. Some really high level people in there. One of the guys on the advisory board is Nick Cowell, Simon's brother, and he sounds exactly like Simon. Try sitting at a boardroom with him. Close your eyes, you feel like Simon's in the room. And somebody actually, the first time he was there, somebody called him Simon. He was not. But he looks like him and he sounds exactly like him. You just, all of a sudden, you think he's going to swear at you. But most of that's done by me, really. So it's okay. Okay. So I am with, has anybody heard of Rob Moore and Mark Homer? I think most of the people in the room have heard of those two, yeah? Okay, sorry?
5 times a day.
Yeah, well, you get emails from Rob. You get emails from him, you get the text messages from him, you get the Facebook alerts, yeah. So Rob's kind of all over the place. So I am on the ICM Elite, which is at Rob's house. They are my mentors. So Michael talked about mentors earlier. It's important to have mentors in your life. So I've got mentors in Kandola who are doing some amazing deals, and I've got obviously Rob and Mark as well, but I've JV'd with them on a couple of things. So property-wise, I did my first lease option back in 2000, before I knew what a freaking lease option was. It was just a deal to me. It kind of made sense. Didn't know it was what everybody's calling lease options now. But when I went to Progressive in 2016, and they were talking about, because that's when I first joined Progressive, they were talking about lease options. I was like, okay, that sounds good. Lease options, never heard of those before. I'll see what they're on about. Went in the room. On the phone afterwards, on the way home, to my husband saying, lease options, fucking brilliant. We need to do more of these. I was like, that shit doesn't work. We did one, remember, back in 2000, and we did this one. And I was like, yeah, but that was then. You get some people like that, they're negative. Until I sat him down and said, no, we've been doing this stuff for years. Now these guys are actually out there teaching people about it. And that was when I joined Progressive. I joined them on the VIP program because I thought what I need to do is increase my network of people. And the best way to do it was the VIP program. So I didn't need any of the training programs that they have at the moment because I was kind of already in property and funding. So I did my first HMO back in 2001. I then went on with my husband to manage 400 HMOs, some of those with asylum seekers for the Home Office. So my husband was the Home Office inspector for HMOs in the Midlands and North area. I launched the funding masterclass with Progressive last year, and the reason we did this, I've done it as a JV with Rob, was basically because we're doing lots of courses. We're doing those courses where we're saying to people, find the deal and the money will come. But I said to Rob and Mark, where is that money? That's what people need to understand, where that money is. Because it's not in that bloody fridge. I've looked time and time again, it's never in there. Keys are in there, not the money. Okay? So that's why we did that, and that's what we're doing with that. To go educate everybody so that you guys know exactly how to fund your deals. You're still obviously going to need a broker. It doesn't have to be us. There's other brokers in the room. You may have a broker yourself, but it's important that you know what you need as well. You understand how to structure what you're doing. Okay? We're launching our mastermind next month. And this is really for people that are already kind of in property but want to get to the next level. So whatever that is for them. And basically what we do is, like any other mastermind, room full of people, and we're basically working with you on your business. And now, if we need to then bring somebody else in, basically open up a black book of contacts for you, we do that. Because we want to make sure that you're actually getting the results that you want to do. Been a mortgage broker for 18 years. We are eco-developers, so we're building in SIPs and modular. So if anybody's interested in that, come talk to me as well. We've got a few discovery days coming up soon at some of our sites, so I'm happy for you guys to come to those and see what those like, okay? Already said I'm the host of the legendary Leicester PPN and the Canary Wharf PPN as well. Two great events. I did win the VIP award in 2016 and 2017, even though I'd already left. I don't know how I won that. I did say to them, you do realise, this was in December, I said I did leave in September, I finished my VIP. But I still got the word, I'm not going to, if it's champagne, I'm not going to say it. So I'll take it. So I'm just going to go through a couple of examples of properties that we've funded for our clients, okay? So this is a buy-to-let client of mine. And basically his property was trashed by the tenants that he had in there. It took, I think, 9 months for him to get the tenants out. By the time he did get them out, the place was a complete shithole. Okay? So no kitchen, no bathroom, which most of you know, that means no mortgage. So he's sitting there with his property, can't sell it because who's going to buy it like that? Yeah? Unfortunately, he wasn't able to come to a PPN to present it, say, oh, I want to get rid of this shithole, does anybody want to buy it? Okay?
I'll have 10 of them.
Yeah, so what we did for him was we did a bridging loan at 110%, okay, of the value of the property, and we did that by doing a cross charge against another property he had. He didn't have any money to be able to do the conversion or the refurb, so that's why we needed to do that. So refinanced it, took the mortgage away from the lender that he had it with at the time, because the lender wouldn't have been happy with it being in that situation anyway. We did the refurb, well, we talked to him about the refurb, but then while we were doing it, I sort of sat him down and said, look, what about a HMO? Because the property's in a really good area for HMOs. I know about it because we are working as well. And said, why don't we do it as a HMO? And what if, because we're doing the conversion anyway. So we did that, converted it into 4-bed HMO. We did the exit bridge within 3 months. The normal AST rental, when tenants were actually freaking paying, would have been 520. But the HMO rental was now 1,500. He was so happy we did the same thing on 3 of his other properties. Yeah? No, he didn't have to put a penny into those because we just did the cross charge against another property he had. You can do that. It's just knowing what.
So that's he actually took the mortgage out of play for ownership, so it wasn't unencumbered.
No, there was a mortgage on it.
Yeah, so he actually bought it out and then took.
Yeah, because if he tried to sell it,
yeah,
he wouldn't have got enough money to pay the mortgage.
Yeah, sure.
So he was in between a rock and a hard place, basically, and that's basically what we did. So now he's still got the property, he's making a hell of a lot more money out of it.
Yeah.
But it's just about doing things creatively but legally. Yeah, remember that bit.
Does the cross-charge property have to be unencumbered?
No, it has. The maximum you can go to is 70%.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be unencumbered. Okay. This is a conversion project that we did. Now, the lady who bought this from an auction planned to turn it into a 7-bed HMO. Okay. Now, this bit here, there were no windows here. So these 2 rooms here were really, really dark, obviously. With no windows, no natural light. So she couldn't have those as bedrooms for a HMO. She didn't know what to do with it. She stripped it all out and said, right, I don't know what to do with it. Can't do it as a HMO. Plus, it's in a conservation area where the planning officer said, no, we're not having a HMO there. Not a 7-bed one anyway. And they said, you can't have bedrooms in those rooms because there's no natural light. So obviously, she didn't think that a window would bring natural light into the room. But so she decided to sell it. So I bought it off her. So yeah, we'll take that, no problem. Bought it for 82,500. It's £10,000 less than what she'd bought it for from the auction, and she'd spent £6,000 stripping it out. Very nice of her. We put the freaking windows in, and we've converted it into 4 one-bedroom flats. So 2 upstairs, 2 downstairs. And the back flat is actually a separate door here. That used to be a window and the door used to be there. We've just swapped them round because it worked better for us because that door goes straight into the kitchen lounge. So the way we've done it, and with the ensuite bedrooms. So we've converted it basically into 4 one-bed flats. The conversion cost in total was 75,000. Okay, because we've got our own team that goes out and does it for us. This is what we do on a day-to-day basis. We had a JV partner. Now this is my JV partner that I didn't know had any money. Yeah, pled poverty every freaking time you saw him. But all of a sudden, well, I've got 120 grand. But really? I'll take it. I'll project for you. So we did that as well then. Okay, so basically we did that, but then obviously we needed some more money for the conversion. So we took an investor loan at 60,000. We gave our investor 6%. Now, a lot of people talk about 8%, 10%, 12%. I only give 6%. Because I know I can get the money at 6%. And it's only 60,000. If I'm going to give somebody 8-10%, they need to be borrowing me 200,000 for at least 18 months to 2 years for me to do a decent project with it to get that kind of return. Otherwise, I can get a bridge in it. What do I need the investor for? Okay. The new value on that property is now 235. So we have refinanced it at 75%. We could have gone 80%. The rate would have been a little bit higher. We didn't really want to do that. We were happy and comfortable at the 17625. So it means that the JV investor has still left £6,000 in there, which is okay because our monthly rental is 1,700. Our mortgage payment is only 600. So what we've said to the JV investor is from the cash flow, we will make sure his 6,000 comes out first, because we always look after our investors, because he's going to put that back in now with us for another project anyway. But it's important to look after your investors as well. Okay? A lot of people really get harped on this 50-50. Oh, 50-50 of everything I have in it. Not doing it, it's a 50-50. I don't care. I'd rather have 25, 30, 40% of something than 100% of nothing. Trying to go for that 50-50. Forget about that 50-50 bullshit. The deal works and you can make money out of it, and it helps you then to get onto your next project and find another investor, or even work with that investor again. Go for it. Yeah? If you're not putting any of your own money in for it, go for it. Okay? So between us and our JV investor, we have actually got £58,000 of equity in that property. That's not a penny of my money in there. That's the kind of deals you want to be looking at. But again, it's looking at a property and it's looking at it with fresh eyes. Don't look at everything as HMOs. Look at something different. And these flats, they are quite small. I think the smallest is 36 square meters, but they're really nicely done, high end, and we've had no problems with them at all. Okay? Is that doing anything? Okay, so this is a HMO conversion that we did with a client. Now this client is a mortgage broker. Remember that. 4-bed semi, and he wanted to convert it into 5-bed HMO, and he wanted a commercial valuation for it. So he did what he does as a mortgage broker, applied with, I think it was Shawbrook he applied to. Okay, they looked at it and said, no chance. We'll never give you a commercial valuation on that because it's just a 4-bed semi, and you're turning into 5-bed HMO. I don't care if you're putting two or three en-suites in it, it just doesn't work, we're not doing it. So he came to me and said, look, I'm struggling with this. Do you know anybody who would want to buy it? I said, okay, we'll have a look at it. Looked at it and said, well, why do you want to sell it? Well, I can help you achieve what you want to achieve. Just let's be a little bit more creative with it. Okay? So when we looked at it, this property's got a massive back garden to it. And I love big back gardens because I always think potential. Yeah? So we looked at it, we talked to the planning officers and everything. What we did was to refinance it, because he had a partner on this one, so he needed to refinance to get that partner out. We did a bridge and a cross charge against another property he had, because again he didn't want to put any money into it, because he had to pay his other investor off. We did a title split with the back, as we did the refinance, when we did the bridge. And it was important to do that title split because we wanted the other plot at the back, his back garden, we basically turned it into a plot. Now, if it's on a separate title and it's unencumbered plot, you get 100% development funding for it. That was really the reason we did it, okay? Converted downstairs into a 1-bed studio and the rest of the house into 4-bed HMO, commercial valuation. It's different, it's not a residential house, it's completely different. We got him that. We got him planning for 6 1-bedroom flats in the garden. Pretty good deal, yeah? Creative thinking, legal thinking. That's all it takes. Working with the right people, that's the important thing. Working with a broker that understands property and how to maximise the potential of your projects. Bearing in mind, he is a mortgage broker. But now he's trying to do this, he's looking at doing more of these, and he's actually, because we've educated him in this, he's more of a financially astute property professional, rather than just the mortgage broker he was before. He's looking at doing more stuff. So we got him the 100% development funding. He did say at first, I can do that. I went, really? You're not doing that. I'm doing your funding. I don't care where you say you're going to go to a lender. I don't care if you're a mortgage broker. You came to me, I'm doing this funding for you. So we did. Okay? So when you understand exactly what's out there and what's available to you, that's when you can actually truly maximise the returns on any project that you do. Because that's what it's about. Okay? This is a JV deal that we've done with a client. Now, this is a client, she came to me originally, she wanted to refinance some of her properties because she wanted to buy a development of 15 apartments. So I want to build a portfolio, I'd like to have 15 apartments, all in one block. I don't want one here and 2 there and 3 over there sort of thing. I said, okay, that's fine, let's look at what you've got. So we looked at all of her portfolio, and then this little cracker came up. She said, oh, actually, I've got a plot of land as well. I'd like to sell that. I've got planning permission on it for 12 2-bedroom bungalows. I was like, okay. So you've got planning permission for a plot, 12 2-bedroom bungalows that you want to sell because you want to buy this other block of 15 apartments that somebody's already built. You're buying them at a premium, giving them their profit in it. I said, what's the main aim? You just want a portfolio of properties in one place. She said, yeah. I said, well, it's right there, right in front of you. Let's do that. She said, well, I can't because I don't know how. That's what I'm here for. I can show you how we'll do it. Okay? So we went through all the funding, how we were going to fund it, because she already owned the land. It was unencumbered, which means there's no funding on it, which means she can access 100% development funding to do that project. But then obviously the problem came up, well, I don't know anything about building. You don't need to, you just need the right power team with you. That's where we come in, and we're building those as eco-houses for her. Right, so at the moment, we had some of the structural stuff come back the other day. We tweaked some of the planning, because the architect was lovely. He put all these architectural designs in there, which are bloody expensive. So for 2-bedroom bungalows in Telford, don't need architectural fucking designs. Yeah? This is going to be older person's units. They don't need big freaking windows and all this hullabaloo in there. We need to make them so that we can build them cost effectively. Because the designs that they had would have just been far too expensive. Yeah? Because design and build, great. For your own residential house, yes. Have massive chandeliers and freaking, you know, ground to roof height windows, not a problem. For properties that you're going to rent out, it's a business. We want to build them as cost effectively as we can. High quality product, because you're going to hold on to it, it's your portfolio, so you don't want to be going back and doing any repairs, or, you know, quickly. So we're doing those as eco houses for her. So we've changed the design a little bit to do it that way, but it all works nicely. That's her portfolio now, rather than buying it from somebody else. And we've done a JV deal with her, but we're building it for her. Okay, so she hasn't got to do any of that. Okay, no money down. Everybody likes to talk about no money down. This is the one that we did for a client. Okay, he bought the property for 280,000. The conversion cost to turn it into 6-bed HMO was 100 grand. The GDV, once the conversion was done, was 520. So what we did was we got him a bridge to let at 70% of the purchase price, which is the 196. Obviously he needed the money for the refurb cost and the deposit, which is the difference between what we got on the bridging loan and what he had to pay for the bill for the property. We did that on a cross charge against one of his other properties. Again, as long as the cross charge on the other properties maximum 70% loan to value, you're okay. He had a lot of equity in one of his residential houses. Okay. Total was 380, his lending. Converted the property, it's now renting at £400 per month per room. We then refinanced it at 80% loan to value, which pulled him out 416. Monthly payments of that, his gross rentals, that's his net cash flow for the year, is 14,000. His cash out at the end of the refinance was 36,000. That's no money down. That is doable, as long as you understand how you can do it and where to get the money and how to structure it. Okay? He's doing quite a few of those. Okay, so what we do on the 3-day intensive, it really is intensive, masterclass, is we go through your 2-year and your 5-year funding strategy. Okay? And any broker that you work with should be asking you, what is your long-term goals? What's your short-term plans and what's your long-term plans? Because they need to make sure that they're putting the right strategy in place for you. So if you're starting off with flips, you need to know exactly how long you want to be looking at doing that. If your plans change in 6 months, not a problem. We adapt with that as long as you work with us or with the broker that you're working with. But it's important that they understand what you're doing, because it shouldn't be a transactional. This is a long-term relationship that you're building up. Your broker is part of your power team. Okay? We give you all of our CV templates to work with. We help you to structure your deals. Okay, we've got various templates for that, but we actually look at your deals with you and say, okay, yeah, you're looking at doing this or this with that property. What about this? We'll give you ideas as well, and I think that's important. It's more like a workshop kind of thing. You actually get to meet some of the lenders who are the key decision makers in your funding. So like on the crowdfunding and things as well. And it's important to meet them, because then you understand exactly what they're looking for from you as a client. Okay? So that's what we do. That's the next date. It's March the 13th to the 15th. Like I said, it is 3 days. Next one's in May. It's at Progressive Towers, the centre of the universe as Rob calls it, in Peterborough. Okay, so if you are interested, give me a shout and have a more chat about it. We'll just go through a couple of testimonies. I think you recognise this guy. Dodgy looking geezer in the back. Come on, Jitesh. Jitesh actually came on the course in November. Yeah? Do you want to share your story with everybody, Jitesh? Come on.
Oh, must I?
Let's hear from you. I've done enough talking now. Give me a break.
Where do I start? This time last year.
It's got to be funded.
Eh?
Come on, come to the front, don't be shy.
Go on, cheer him on.
This time last year, I had one property. Didn't know much about property at all. Wasn't even interested. July, I joined the masterclass course for Rob and Mark. And in September, was it I went on the course? Or November, I went on the course. November, I went on the course. And then.
It was November the 2nd.
Was it really? That memorable?
Yeah.
So went on the course, and then 2 weeks later, I got involved with buying a 12-unit conversion of an old school with no money at all, and I put the deal past Cal. So what do I do with this? So I saw some package because I'm a banker. I haven't got much time, so I just saw some package. As I said earlier, and this deal came across my table for £450,000. I thought this actually looks very good, but I wasn't very sure because I didn't really know much about property. So pushed it through there. So, but having done the course, I gave Cal a call and said, "Have a look at this. What do you think?" She goes, "Yeah, we can do this with that. They stack up. They do stuff." I said, "Okay, fair enough." So we ended up raising. Well, Cal and her team ended up raising £750,000 for me on a bridging deferred loan. So I'm saying things like I didn't even understand.
The rolls off the tongue now.
And now I'm on 6-month deferred with a 12-month 0.7% bridging loan, so it's expensive. I thought bridging loan, oh my god, stay away. But now
He lost his hair that deal.
I did. Yeah.
We said bridging loan.
So in the end, I've got a 12-unit conversion I'm working on now in Nottingham. I've got the money raised. Cal and her team are helping me out with getting the valuations right, the paperwork right. I've got a project management team doing the whole work for me, hands off. I've got the money being raised for me, hands off. I'm still banking.
Said banking.
Banking with me. So in effect, I've got the money going through, and I'm hoping to complete an exchange in the next month. So within a month of doing that course, I've sort of raised the money, not knowing how, deferred it onto her and her team. They look great. And anytime I've got a question, I just give them a call. But the point is, I feel like I'm pitching here, and I'm not. So in effect, I've raised the money, not on my own money at all, with a charge on my equity, which is fair enough. But I understand these terms. But when I went on the course, there's so much stuff and so much input that are actually practical and useful, and it got me the knowledge. But one thing it did change for me, I think, is keys, not the property, not the money, it's the mindset. So I raised £750,000 to buy a property which is now going to be worth £945,000. But the beauty of this deal wasn't the actual 12 units that was converted into high-end spec, which I'm going to be doing. Was a potential in the land development. There was planning permission previously granted, which didn't exist. So I now know I can now put on 3 2-bedroom properties which will raise £350,000. Eventually, if with a build, we're worth 1.2 million. So from no money, I'll have a property value of 1.2 million. And to me, it's like it's crazy money, but and that's what he gave me the course. I lost the fear, I actually learned something on the way, but the mindset is what changed. And that was the key thing about it.
He's now a financially astute property professional. He knows how to put these things together because he knows who to contact
Yeah,
when
and
he's got any problems.
it's a phone call
We're not
away.
saying you've got to do it on your own. You need to know the basics. This is a deal that you would have otherwise just sourced on to somebody else because that was the original plan, wasn't it?
It was to source on for a fee of £15,000, but in the rental, I'm going to pull out essentially £65,000 money in my pocket, and then still with a rental income of 2,100 at last count per month net cash flow from this deal. So I've got 3 exit plans, which is what I learned, exit plans. So I could either sell some, keep them all, or sell the whole job lot, or keep all 12, rent them out, and sell the land with planning that I would never know about. So
Yeah.
just give me options of exit on there. So that's what it taught me in the course.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you for sharing that. So I'm sure Jitesh will, regularly update you guys on what he's doing with his development, so you can actually learn from that as well. I did say to him that once he's up and on site, he needs to do a discovery day as well, so that everybody walk through and understand exactly what we did. So that's basically what we do with that. And when Jitesh came to the course, it was only a 2-day course, but we had so much content that we really struggled to. We kind of kidnapped you guys for 2 days, didn't we? Because like, you cannot get up to go to the loo because we don't have time. You are not having a break. If you want a cup of tea, grab it and sit right back down. It was like that. And we had short lunch break because we had so much to get through. So 8:30 in the morning till 7 o'clock at night, and it was, pretty intense. So we've turned it into a 3-day event because we think you might need a couple of breaks here and there. Because people will be like, feed me now before I die. So that's what we've done. Okay. Again, it's once you understand where that money is and how to structure it and put things together and how to look at your projects in a more creative but legal way, it will empower you to do the kind of deals that you wouldn't have been able to do before. And that's what we want to do. We want to help you and support you to get to where you want to be. Okay? Not just sourcing those deals onto other people, but doing them yourselves, because you can do them. Okay? This is Mark Bygrave. Mark came on the course in August 2018. Mark's been an investor for 10 years, just using his cash each time. He does flips, but he's doing one property at a time. Once he did the course, he said it was a game changer for him, because now he's doing 3 or 4 projects at each time, rather than just one, because he only ever had the money for one at a time. Now he understands how to work with the funding and bridging, because he always thought bridging was expensive. He always said, I'd never do bridging. Never ever do bridging. It scares the shit out of me. I'd never be able to sleep at night if I had a bridging loan. But now he actually understands. He's doing 3 or 4 projects at a time. Game changer for him. Investor for 10 years. That's what understanding how to structure and where the money is and how it works for you makes a difference. Okay? This can make a difference for somebody like him. And obviously for Jitesh who's just starting out. The options, the opportunities are out there. You just need to know how to put them together. But you don't need to do that on your own. That's the whole point of your power team. At all the networking events, that's what we talk about, your power team. Here obviously at Leeds PPN, Mo, he's your host. He's put a power team together. He's got people he works with. We've got diamond members. That's what they're there for. It's about building those relationships with the right people. Okay, so that's me. Finished. Done my talking. That's my email address and that's my mobile number. If you want any help or advice or anything, give me a call. I am on Facebook. Some of you might have seen me there. I'm all over freaking Facebook. You can't miss me. Okay, I am on LinkedIn, but I don't really do a lot on LinkedIn. I feel it's a bit too grown up for me. I just feel like somebody's going to tell me off if I put my shit on LinkedIn. Because it is a bit grown up. And every time I put anything on LinkedIn, I get 20 or 30 people trying to sell me some shit. I don't want to buy it. You haven't even tried to get to know me yet. You're just trying to sell me your services. I don't know who you are. You get a load of stupid messages. On Facebook, the only stupid messages I get is from people from Bangladesh waving at me like but I can easily block those guys, so that's okay. Right? But, yeah, don't wave at me on Facebook, please. That irritates the freaking hell out of me. Don't poke me, I don't like it, I'm British. We don't like that kind of stuff. Message me, reach out to me. I'll help you in any way I can. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.